Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is well. We're back Monday. Hope everyone has had a brilliant weekend. So there's been a lot of movement in the market this weekend with regards to Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. So as you'll see, I've just given a bit of an overview of my charts, and actually over the weekend I had a look at sort of refining the way in which my TA looked. So it's going to be slightly different this evening. But we're going to start off as usual with Bitcoin. So jumping straight into it, I'll just get removed the oscillators at the bottom so we can see what is going on and get a clearer view of the overall market as a whole. So starting as we usually do, looking at the long-term wedge that we have been in with regards to BTC USD. Now you can see we are respecting these lines for the long term as we have done just here. And ultimately, guys, I think we are going to be looking at a lower low just around here. If we do break that lower low down here, then I think we are going to be looking at these levels again down here to pull into new liquidity before we move forward with regards to a bull run. Because looking at the market as a whole, guys, we've got to be smart and strategic investors when we look just at the price in which Bitcoin has done and moved forward for in the past few weeks as a whole. And for me, investors, institutions, large liquidity players are not going to be coming into the market and buying in at these levels, therefore moving forward and breaking us out of this long-term wedge. I just don't see it happening. So therefore what I think we're going to have is going to have a staggered downward move down straight through all these levels of support just here that have held up the price, again taking us into the back end of 2021 as a whole. But I do think that the whole market at the moment is tied to the stock market and the way in which we see in the DJI, etc., etc. So S&P 500 actually, well, pretty much dying on us for the past few weeks. But again, with the economic situations that we are in, this was expected. And what we can find is that Bitcoin and other digital currencies are actually going to follow suit with that as well. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the smaller time frames as a whole. And what we can see is, we can see that again we are creating this lower low as a whole, or trying to break through again this daily level just here. Now if I just explain how my charts are looking as a whole, what we can see again, if I go to the grand scheme of things picture, just so everyone's on the sort of same level as me as a whole. So what I've done is I've marked out the weekly levels in the yellow section just here. So again, the weekly levels of resistance, weekly levels of support just here, and then at the top just here we've got the monthly levels, and all the white lines you can see just here are the daily levels, guys. So when the price will end up moving down or upwards, it will respect these levels in its pursuit down or upwards as we see any move forward. If we do break out and again fake to the downside and move out of this long-term level of resistance just here, then again we are going to be having to buckle up and look at them ATH. But I think for now, guys, I think it won't make sense for the banks, institutions to go ahead and actually put in large investments. But if they do, guys, then we will be breaking out of this long term just here. What we can see, I'm just going to some TA, and what we can see just here is we can actually see we have got this downtrend forming just here. And again, what we could end up seeing is a tiny bit of consolidation down. Again, just like this, if I make these charts look a little bit better, we could see a downward trend forming like this, again coiling towards the drop zone just here. The reason why I have this drop zone marked out just here is according to this data just here. So what we can see is we can actually see that the price moved up in quite a parabolic way, and I would expect the same to happen if we do breach this weekly level just here, which is around the 85 to 86 level. But again, guys, we could see a more consolidation towards the side just here. Again, looking at this daily level just here, if we do break through this, we will be on a pursuit down towards that weekly level. So my predictions are firmly sitting within the downtrend as a whole. I don't think we have confirmed as a downtrend just yet. As we can see up here, if I mark this out just here, we can see that we are still inevitably moving upwards. So it is anyone's game, but I think strategically and looking at what the investments from the banks, institutions, etc. will be doing, it wouldn't make sense again for them to be coming in just here. So my eyes are firmly, if we do break just here, I will be putting in a short position that will be taking us down to probably grab down to the 8.5 level. Again, if we do break through that, then I'll be looking to take profits probably around the 7.8 level, maybe perhaps the 7.3 level. But again, if I put a short position just in here, then again I think we will be best off taking probably 30% of profits around here and then letting it run if it does decide to go into the drop zone moving forward. So that's my thoughts on the market as a whole. As we can see, the stock market, etc., which I'm going to get onto in a moment, has actually moved down in a way of which has probably got rid of some of that manipulation that we have seen over the past couple of weeks. But I think we are still very much in a manipulated market, and in which case that is having an effect on what we can see with regards to the digital asset market also. I think this morning we have seen a bit of a move upwards. We saw the wick down just early morning. I caught a short ETH position just there, but as we can see just now, we have recovered back for the day, and I think we probably will close just above this daily level just here. Moving forward to XRP, so what we can see just here is we have dropped into the recent high. It has gone down to 20%, which is actually probably quite expected to say that the movement we have had over the year has been dog crap. So I think what we can expect moving forward is I think we are going to test this 18 level just here, 18 cent. I think again we have wicked down, we haven't quite got down there, we have been rejected just by the buyers just there, bought up just on the way down, but I think we are going to breach these levels just here and probably sit firmly on top of this level of support just here. Again, I have plotted this line just according to this prior historic data just here. If you move back down, you can see where we've got various different wick closures, candle closures along this line just here, and again this is the daily level. So it's just something that we've got to keep his eye out with regards to the way in which the market is moving. We can see that we have got a downtrend over on the weekly time frame just here, guys. So let's crack on to Ethereum. Again, we haven't had much movement with regards to XRP in the market just today, as usual, probably following the theme throughout the whole year as a whole. So moving on to Ether, again I had my short position just in here, which I didn't actually cover last week because I only put it in yesterday. But what we can see is we can see that Ethereum has been massively moved today with regards to the market and the whole market movement. So what we can see is we have wicked down. I did end up taking profit around sort of 6% down, so I took profit at 50%, and then I let it run, and I am actually still in this position waiting to see if over the next few days we do go ahead and actually break down to this 9% take profit level, which would actually be a breach of the monthly candle, the monthly level just here that I did have in. So I'm not really banking on it. If we do come through over to this 6% level, I will be pulling my stop loss probably further down. It is around here just at the moment, so if we do wick up, then I'll be out of that position. But then again, I have taken quite a bit of profit today with that one, guys. So nothing else really to report with regards to Ethereum. I think we have seen again the rejection along this daily line just here of support, and again we are moving up towards the middle of this probably range that we're probably going to be starting to trade in over the next week or so. So all the other alts that I've covered over the last few weeks have not really moved, other than they've moved to the downside, but they haven't done much other than move to the downside along with Bitcoin's movement. So there's nothing much more to go on about, as I have kept my technical analysis very light on these. But I think again the whole market has been affected with the Bitcoin movement, etc. So moving on to Bitcoin market cap now, it's something I wanted to cover because it will give us an indication. Again, we have had this long-term wedge just here that we are respecting once again, and I think what is going to happen is if we do break out of this, guys, we are going to see a Bitcoin run. And again, we have been rejected just here. If we do break, actually move down to the middle of this or to the bottom, again in moving out of the bottom here, I wouldn't see it happening that much with regards to the actual Bitcoin market cap as a whole, because again we have been respecting these lines for so long. But again, if we do break out of here, we'll be seeing the bull run and potentially bringing up the alts with it. I would say it probably will do, but I think what's going to happen more like, I think we are going to, as we see liquidity drown out and we start to move to the downside, and we start to see Bitcoin take that inevitable move down to the downside and probably look towards the 3 to 5k levels I have mentioned in previous breakdowns, I think we are going to move down again to this level just here. So moving on to Bitcoin dominance, again just for this long-term wedge that we are within, we are nearly actually at the end of this wedge just here, so we are going to see a break to the downside or the upside. So it's probably going to be the most interesting out of all of them with regards to whether we do have an altcoin rally. Now altcoins again are any other coin apart from Bitcoin, so they get again the likes of Ethereum, the likes of XRP, etc, etc. So if we do move to the downside just here and break out of this, it will mean that we will have a Bitcoin, an altcoin run, sorry, should I say. And if we do move up to the top of here, it will mean that Bitcoin's price will increase as Bitcoin dominance price increases also. But I think we will come somewhere into the middle of here. And again, if we do break out to the bottom, I think the most likely thing that will happen, rather than Bitcoin actually breaking out this wedge to the upside in the moment, I think we will end up breaking to the downside shortly as we see an altcoin rally as a whole. And then from there, we will probably go into the next cycle, creating a different, let's say, Bitcoin dominance fractal or Bitcoin dominance wedge for the future before we see the ultimate Bitcoin move to the upside, guys. So let's move on to the stock market. Now, it's been quite in fact, I'm going to start on the DJI as a whole just here with regards to where we are. So I'm going to move on to the weekly. Apologies for my lines just here, guys, but we can see just here again is we did have the almighty dump last week towards the end of the week with regards to the DJI. We have seen a tiny bit of recovery just today. We did open today pretty down according to the various different articles that we have seen with regards to China looking towards a second wave of the virus. But again, I think what we are going to see, my bets for the future with regards to the DJI, the S&P 500, again, we can see the S&P 500 is down 2% today, is that we are going to, as the economic crisis worsens, we may not necessarily see any change in terms of the virus, we might not even see a second wave, but I think the amount of money that's been printed, the amount of debt that we're currently in versus the income and the actual sustainability of the world as a whole with regards to getting people back into work. Again, it's going to be something completely different to what we have seen in 2009. In 2009, we saw people be able to get back into work. There wasn't a big economic crisis and big pandemic that was going on. It was just an economic crisis. So I do think we are going to see the full throttle of that economic crisis over the next couple of months, ultimately bringing us down to the 21,000 mark on the Dow Jones, shortly followed by the S&P 500. We have seen the break out of the ascending wedge just here. Again, looking at a bearish signal just here, and what we can see, I think we are going to be looking again towards the 2,500 region with regards to this, purely and simply based off the economic crisis that we do find ourselves in. We can see that we have had quite a large week just here, and we have recovered a tiny bit, so a bit of, let's say, bull pressure that has been put into the market. But again, I think as Wall Street, as all the various different large scale investors are investing in the buy market, in the sell market should I say, and shorting the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, we are going to inevitably see that move to the downside. So just hold your horses with regards to that one, because what we see is that the whole stock market does actually move in parallel with the movement of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones index, what they're doing on Wall Street, etc. Because these guys are the guys with the liquidity, and they generally know the people that do have the liquidity also, so they move the market. Once we could start to think like institutional investors and start to think what are these guys going to be doing, then we are going to make better trades, make better investments, and ultimately be able to make more money, guys. This is how it works, because if we're going against the trend, then these guys are the guys that make the market. So we need to do and make our trading decisions, investing decisions based upon what we think they are going to be doing, or not necessarily what it's saying in the news, but get an idea of what the headlines are, how these headlines are going to affect their decisions, and then make a decision. I love to look on various different forums, see what the market sentiment is with regards to various different coins, various different digital assets, various different stocks. And generally, guys, when I see bullish sentiment in Reddit forums, in Twitter forums, in YouTube, I generally go bearish. And the reason is because generally what they do is the institutional investors will grab the liquidity from the people who are the poor investors, and then from there what they will do is actually they'll go ahead and blow them out the water. So I like to see what the market is thinking, and then from there I can go ahead and make a decision that is probably 80% of the time going to be against what half of the sentiment of the FOMO buyers, etc. are going to be doing. So guys, that's my take on the two indexes, but let's move on to a couple of the stocks at the moment. So starting with BT, what we can see just here is we can see again we've broke out of this long-term channel that we did have from May onwards. Again, we have found a bit of intermediate support just here, and I do think we are going to break that and move towards this next level just here, which is the 109 level, and again moving down to the 106 level, retesting where we were in May times for the first of the virus, and again the fear in the market that we saw that big sell-off. I do think we are going to look at other and worse, let's say, situations with regards to the stock market as we do see the full economic let's say, disaster go into come into fruition as a whole, and I think we are going to see the housing market, etc. And I think looking at this, we can expect probably the 95 to 94 region, which is probably just along this line just here. So what I will do is I'll put a line in just here so we can come back to this at a later date. But I think definitely, I think my long-term and probably cheap buys just here are around this level just here, and I think we may not reach that level, but I think we can get some good buys just as we do move forward and as we start to see the sell-off go ahead. Because I think what we've got again to look at is, if the guys are propping up the market, selling off all their things right now, when are they going to be buying back? They are going to push this thing down as low as it can possibly go to go ahead and buy back stocks to make more money. So I do wholeheartedly think that we are going to see a sell-off that we have not seen before, and worse than what we saw in 2009 as a whole. Again, Vodafone, absolutely beautiful. We got the long-term target just here, hit with a T. So that was a 10% short position that we took out. It was a number of weeks ago now. This was absolutely optimal, and I took that position, took the profit just there, and we can move forward and look for other positions. But anyone who took that profit and took that position, well done. It was a good call. And again, if you are the action takers that took that, then that's brilliant. That's what I like to see in the Investment Chef group. And we are going to be looking at, again, as we move forward to the platform, which I've been working on, we are going to be looking at how can, well, number one, you learn how to do this, but number two, you start to understand the emotions behind when we do this. Because when I say, yeah, okay, the action takers who go ahead and take the calls, I do understand as new investors, as new traders, as new positional holders, people are, their emotions take over. What about if I lose this? What about if I lose that? But again, the risk management just here, we can see this is how you risk manage. You need 3% tight risk reward and brilliant 10% to the downside, so 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. And again, anything over 3 is absolutely brilliant for regards to the risk reward ratio. So well done, guys. If anybody took that, we can see moving on to Aviva. See, we got rejected at this level just here, and we have started to, we tested this level just here and then came back up, and we have again come back up to this level of resistance just here. I don't think that next target for Aviva is 262, just because brace priorly off this level just here. I think what we'll probably do is we'll probably wick down to this level and actually close the candle body around this level just here, guys. So watch this space. We'll have a look at that one in a couple of days. Moving on to Tilray, one of my long-term picks. I will be looking to buy more of Tilray as we see more drops. I want to be looking at probably around a 60% drop. I am only investing £200 into this one, guys. So they're not financial advice, this is what I'm doing. You can see my positions just here as we speak, but I'm looking for more of a 60% drop and possibly coming into this level of liquidity just here that we did see around the May sell-off time and the March-ish sell-off time. So if we get that 70-80% drop, then I will be very, very happy, as it is, again, one of my higher risk picks as a whole, guys. So I'm not buying just here, I am buying, again, down here. So, moving on, guys, I'm going to do, okay, so I'm going to look at gold. I don't really look at gold as a whole as much, but what we can see, guys, here is we can see this long-term level of support we did have here. We broke out of that, we came down, we've come back up to retest this line and confirm just here. Again, we have seen a big sell-off down to around the 1600 level just here in June. What you can see how these come into fruition, guys, because what happens is we can see a level of support just here, we come back down, we come back up and retest that level of support just down here, and then we've sold off just there. That is called a confirmation, guys. It gives us an idea of what is going to happen. Generally, when we do break a level of support, we come back up and test it as resistance, which is exactly what's happened. We've seen now what's happened with gold is we've come back down, and we've come back down to this level of support, bounced back up, and now we are trading within this range, guys. So gold is a very lovely one to go ahead and trade. We can now see that what is happening, this range is getting traded within, and if I am going to be trading gold over the next couple of days, I will be looking at putting in a short position down here, probably to come back down and to retest this level of support just here. If we do unconfirm that and break out to the upside, I do expect us to come back and test this level just up here, so around the 1800 mark. I do think, with regards to the economic situation that we find ourselves in, gold will be a safe haven. Bitcoin is probably not as much of a safe haven. Well, it's definitely not for the people who are rich, because think about it, guys, you're going to put your money into a proven asset that cannot lose 50% in valuation or in market capitalization overnight. Therefore, if guys are putting billions of pounds into it, then they're comfortable that they will not be waking up with 500 million pounds in their pocket. Not a bad situation, but 50% loss overnight is very, very damaging, and it's just not there yet, isn't Bitcoin, with regards to the stability of the asset, which gold is, and gold is continuously rising over time. As we can see, obviously we did have the sell-off in March just here, but I think over the next few weeks we may see a tiny dip for gold, maybe short positions on the horizon, maybe around this level just here. If we do see a big sell-off like we did see in March, then we could see the 1500 levels. But I do honestly think the best place to be putting our money right now as smart investors is gold, and that is purely and simply my decision and not my recommendation financially, but my honest opinion. Now what I'm going to do just here, guys, is I'm going to actually put in another range just here, another trading channel. God. And what we can do, we can monitor this. I'm not entirely sure why it's gone ahead and done that, but I can just manually do it like this. So what we can have a look at this is we can see that again we've got this level of support just here. Now I'm going to put in a line through the middle of that, because we can see again that gold is pretty much respecting in the middle of this line. Again, it's broken through here, broke to the downside, come back up, tested this, come back down. So maybe what we could see is we've got two things that could happen, guys. We could either come ahead and break out of this line of support just here and come back down and retest the 1660 level, or from there we could bounce off this level of support, come back up, break out of this level of resistance just here, and go ahead and test this 17.5 level just here to go ahead and probably come back down and test this level of support just here once again, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up here, guys, and again, the platform is on its way, guys. I cannot say it's imminent just yet. There's been a lot of things going on, and I do not want to bore you to death with regards to how much content there has been getting. I'm losing my words now. That there has been getting recorded over the last couple of weeks. It is my main priority, hence why we have seen various less market breakdowns, etc. And it is honestly my duty to make this a brilliant platform and to go ahead and cancel out the crap service that you get from various different Instagram gurus, etc., and really create that community going forward within the cryptocurrency and other market space, guys. So I will catch everyone in the next one, and peace.